I'm about to break down the clearest understanding of why we self-sabotage and how to avoid self-sabotaging behavior. There is two states. There's low frequency, there's high frequency. When you're in a low frequency state, what happens is you get into a state of desire. Here is a frequency chart. I want you guys to Google this chart. If you look at the bottom of the chart, there's guilt, shame, apathy, fear, desire, anger, pride. At the top, it's peace, joy, love, enlightenment, acceptance. So this chart will tell you everything you need to know about yourself, and you need to understand when you're in certain stages what got you there, what thoughts and what actions got you into certain stages. The goal is to stay in a high frequency state of love, peace, and enlightenment for most of your day, most of your life. If you get into these stages of anger, which as far as down as I really go, desire, fear, don't have that, guilt or shame. I can go from anger straight to guilt or shame. If I've crossed the line and I feel bad about it, I usually don't, because I justify my anger. Because there's teaching behind it. There is a fucking reason behind it. And the reason is never to break someone down. I learn from shit like that. But here, this frequency chart will teach you everything. And this is the breakdown. You guys, boredom leads to desire, leads to vices. So, what causes you to get bored? You're off your purpose. When you're on your purpose, there is no possible way you could get bored with life. You're in the moment. You're present. Your purpose, I've told you guys, your purpose in mind is to create the individual you admire, self-actualization, as Maslow's law states, and then give that person to the world. Self-transcendence, also one of Maslow's growth needs for humans. So I knew this before I read about Maslow's law, because I came up with this quote for a human's purpose on this planet well before I understood that. And it was to create the individual you admire and give him to the world. So what is creation of the individual you admire? It's physically, it's mentally, it's spiritually. And how is that done? It's your daily habits that are going to bring forth the person sitting directly in front of us today. So self-actualization is that selfish phase, which I don't think is selfish at all, where you're building the best you. Now, after years, it could be as easy as 2 years. It could be 5, 10, 20 years before you finally transcend self, which is becoming the teacher. But it must happen, or you will erode yourself internally. If you become self-actualized, or to a high level of actualization, you can never be fully actualized until you transcend self. But if you're at a high stage of actualization, self-actualization, what takes place is you start to become bitter at everything you see around you. It all irks you. It pisses you off. You're the grumpy old man who knows too much, but doesn't do enough to teach. Now, he would let that out in a healthy way if he taught the people instead of bickering about who they were or what they do, which is a part of my process you see daily. I see people, they piss me the fuck off with how they are and what they are and why they're doing what they're doing. I love people, but I hate their habits. I can attack the fuck out of their habits, never a person, okay? Their habits created what's in front of me. I'm attacking the habits, saying if the habits change, the person is altered forever, or until the habits go back to their original state. So that individual that I'm looking at and I'm triggered throughout the day, I'm being triggered by their habits, by what I see in front of me, and I'm telling them that they could be greater, they could be greater, they could be greater. So at first, I'm sitting there and I'm pissed off about what I see. Then I become the teacher and I tell them, I can get you out of that. When they decide to get out of that state, well, now all the anger, all the frustration, all the angst has gone from me visualizing this person who's destroying their life with these habits to me taking the reins and saying, I owe this person an outcome. Now, the outcome is going to come from the change in habits. Nothing changes in the individual except their daily habits, their thoughts and their actions. We're habitual constructs by nature. We've been constructed by our daily habits, and our thoughts and our actions have completely brought us to where we are today. So, boredom leads to desire, leads to vices. Boredom is right at what happens right before desire. So you get bored, you're like, oh, what should I do? You're not working on yourself right then. You're not meal prepping. You're not gathering new knowledge to then apply to your current self. So you're not looking for wisdom that is going to push you forward as an individual and cause you to raise your level of self-actualization. You're just thinking, I want something. I don't want to work for it. I need something right now that's going to fulfill me. The only thing that's truly going to fulfill you is making a better you. Hence why only people who do personal development work have personal worth. You guys won't have personal worth until you do personal development work. That's why there's so many weirdos walking around that are so fucked up they see no worth in you, and they couldn't understand why I would see worth in you. I see worth in you because I've done the personal development work. So I know where you're lacking worth because you have yet to do the work. But you haven't placed value on your physique because you've been lied to, and you lied to yourself so much that you don't believe aesthetics matter in our sensory world when they completely do. Your quality of life would drastically increase. So, working on the individual, self-actualization, and then one day transcending self. If you're consistently doing this, you're never in a state of desire. And most people, they actually go to a job they don't like and they desire leaving the whole time. Then they go partake in vices to, escape their current state of reality, drugs, alcohol. Then they end up in a state of guilt and shame, which is the lowest frequency possible. This is the frequency chart. If you want to understand life, you have to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Vibration is how we feel. Frequency is how we view things. So, your choices that you made, you'll never have an actual choice whether you regret something and get into a state of shame or guilt. Shame or guilt are attached to universal truths that humans should not partake in. The second you're deteriorating your health, the second you're acting in a manner that is not elevating your consciousness and actually causing you to regress, causing regression in you mentally or physically, you will enter a state of regret, which is shame and guilt. So our main goal every day is to look at this chart, understand that when we get into a stage of desire, we're about to partake in vices that cause shame and guilt and have us go into this loop. So what do? The second we get into a state of desire, you have to go into peak physical performance or becoming the source of what you seek. Those are the two things that will put you in flow state at any moment. Peak physical performance, some high intensity interval training, or actually a true workout at the gym or something, or becoming the source of what you seek, helping someone. Even if you were in a state of desire and you're like, I want to drink, I want to drink, I want to drink. If you went to a group of people who had trouble drinking and you actually gifted them the solution that you wanted for yourself, you would admonish yourself from the desire, which would in turn be the solution for both. That's why AA has a principle of if you want to stay sober, you have to keep someone sober, which is so fucking true. And I mean, this is what we're doing. We're creating an individual. We're healing ourselves in a manner and then teaching others to do the same. Heal yourself and then teach others to do the same. Create the best version of you, give that person to the world. So creating the best version of you would essentially mean healing across the board, mentally, physically, spiritually. And then once you've created that higher entity, that version of you that is your highest self, that actualized version of you, the only thing left to do is teach that to others. And now you have found the most valuable thing that you could gift, sell, package, or prepare for anybody on this planet, because I have money and it will never do what your daily habits will do for you. Don't ever believe that your pursuit for material items or financial gain or anything could ever be superior to the presence you get when you're building a life of purpose. Don't ever believe that. It will never take away, though. So as long as you keep purpose paramount in your life, and then if you like certain things and you add to it, it will just add to it. It doesn't take away. But you never place your purpose on life as the actual gained items or the financial gain. I've never done that. My purpose in life is to create the individual I admire, give him to the world. And I have. Physically, mentally, spiritually, and now financially, I've given it all to you guys. Understand this and you'll understand everything in life. Start simple and just look at the frequency chart, and anything that brings you into those low frequency states, start removing from your life. Regret is your guideline for removal. Once you start removing everything that brings you into those low frequency states, then increase everything that actually puts you into flow state where you're in peace. The definition of flow state, the definition of inner peace is not knowing time as it passes by. So with you, is it training? Is it helping others? Is it making a video like this? I'm free during this whole video. I don't know if it lasted 1 minute or 11 minutes, 20 seconds like it has. I can't tell because I actually enjoy it and I know it's part of my purpose. God will gift you flow state. God will gift you inner peace. God will gift you presence when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with your life, but you can't lie. Because a lot of you guys will be like, well, when I'm painting, I feel that way. Well, you can't paint all day. So you're going to have to upkeep this vessel. And if you want to be an esteemed advocate, a quality advocate of a message from above, it has to be at the highest level. You guys, I love you. Break this down, rewrite it, set it up for you. Make sure your daily habits are aligned with keeping you at the higher end of the frequency chart. Once you've lived at a higher frequency long enough, what happens will be your complete perception of the world will shift, and you won't be one of these weirdos walking around hating people all day. You'll actually understand everything at the fucking most basic level, which is the problem in the world today. Everybody thinks this answer is very complex, and it's not. High frequency West, what keeps me there? Low frequency West, what makes me go into low frequency? Remove all those, do more of these. It's that simple. Less